Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we are going to look at another episode of TNT. This the March 1st edition, 1985. We are going to go through the entire library. So if you're in for that, you can check us out here. We'll probably get through it in the next week or so, and then we're going to do Saturday night's main event. If you're new here, like, subscribe, comment below. We always like your feedback. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can help with the COVID recovery efforts. Anyway, so this particular episode, pretty nondescript, although we are moving towards Mania. We're less than officially a month away from Mania now. And as it's exactly 31 days or 30 days away from this program. And so we move through the program. Freddie Blassie makes comments on Lou Albano. Basically says Albano is a traitor and a scumbag and a guy that no one should trust. Can't believe that he's sided with Hogan. Can't believe he's sided with Wyndham and Rotundo. Can't believe he's turned his back on all that he did over those years. Thinks that he has mental issues or something going on, that he needs some sort of guidance and help. And at this point, I mean, Blassie has enough time with the WWF that him saying this and kind of going in that direction is sufficient enough to make people rise up and take notice, at least a little bit. We then see his team, Volkov and Sheik, versus SD Jones and Rick McGraw. McGraw later is one of the first wrestlers in WWE, WWF to pass away. I think he passes away in late 85, early 86, something like that. But he passes away, I believe, of a heart attack. And I know that I remember reading about and hearing about Roddy Piper taking that really hard. I guess they were somewhat in the same circles for a little while. Piper takes that really, really hard. This is a typical squash for Volkov and Sheik. Obviously, they are months or weeks away, rather, from winning the tag team championship. They want to look, good here. Obviously, it is Volkov who's doing the power stuff, Sheik who's doing the more character-driven stuff, and they're a good tandem for 1985. Obviously, also them being champions is a bigger deal, and that is coming through WrestleMania and such. And then we hear Nikolai Volkov discussing Wyndham and Rotundo. Typical fare here of what you'd expect from that level of discussion. He's unimpressed with them, to say the very least. He is, they're not tough like Russians. They're not fierce like Russians. They shouldn't be considered champions. He basically says the same things over and over, so really nothing to see here of great note. Then we move on to what would be a major issue down the road. Not a major issue here, but Rita Marie Chatterton, who eventually accuses Vince McMahon of sexual harassment and I guess trying to assault her in a vehicle at one point and other places, trading favors for attention and all that. Obviously unfounded. Vince never went to jail. Well, we don't know if they're unfounded, but Vince never went to jail for it. And suffice to say, she's one of many who have brought sexual misconducts, at least verbiage, against McMahon over the years. One notable also being Sable during her lawsuit in the mid or early 2000s. I mean, there's a lot of that. I guess we'll never know the truth, but certainly with things like the Me Too movement now and all that, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more women come out against McMahon, because it would be, it just wouldn't surprise me with his level of power and length of time in the entertainment industry that he might get flagged for something like that in the future. Not meaning that he did anything. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's surprising that he hasn't been, finger pointed at him for improprieties. Anyway, David Schultz up next, Dr. D. Now, here's the amazing thing. Here's a guy who really should have been on something like a WrestleMania event. He is not on Mania going forward, and it's just interesting in that regard. Schultz talks about the 2020 John Stossel incident. I have not had a chance to watch Dark Side of the Ring with the YouTube projects that I run, and also my regular clients, my writing clients, and my coaching clients, and all these other things. I just haven't had time. But suffice to say, certainly something I want to check out at a point. Steve Lombardi versus Dr. D. David Schultz. This goes about the way you would expect it to go. Lombardi, obviously a perennial guy involved with the WWF for close to 25, 30 years. I mean, he's here from 84 till the late 2000 teens, I think. But he takes some hard clotheslines and hard boots and all sorts of really ugly stuff from Mr. Schultz, and Schultz hits the corkscrew elbow drop from the top rope, and it's something that I actually didn't realize that Dave Schultz, because I mean my exposure to Schultz was very limited. I didn't actually see David Schultz footage until I started watching videotapes later in my life and doing tape trading and whatnot 20 years ago. But suffice to say, my exposure to him is extremely limited. So just seeing how athletic he is for his size always shocks me every time I revisit that aspect of thing. Obviously, Vince McMahon interviews him again, and he's, your typical male chauvinistic type fellow. He's talking about how there's no competition. He wants somebody to fight. He wants to go after Hogan. He wants to make a difference, etc., and so forth. And then we go to his I guess home or some nondescript place. I don't think they actually talked about physically where this was, but suffice to say, we'll assume it's his home or a personal space of David Schultz. He shows off several guns, and Vince McMahon alongside guns, just really interesting. Basically Schultz intimates he's not going to shoot him, but kind of puts in the promo like, I'd like to, but I won't. And then he takes out I believe it's a rifle of some description. I'm not a gun person, so I don't know. But anyhow, he pulls out a rifle-looking gun and shoots a hole, which I assume is a blank, in the wall. And I mean, McMahon goes nuts, as one would if this were real. But wow, this is actually worth your while to go out of your way to see. Just the reaction of Vince McMahon to almost being shot is really well acted. If you've never seen this before, going out of your way to see this segment, probably worth your while. Salvatore Bellomo comes along. We've seen him multiple times on the program, and again, these TNTs are cut down to 45 minutes, 43 to 45 minutes airtime, so an hour with commercials, and so they're a quick get through here. But Bellomo talks about building this model ship and how it took him over a year to do, and he's really proud of it. And then we see a clipped match clipped together with Johnny Roz, the unpredictable Johnny Roz. Roz, of course, a major trainer in the 70s, 80s, into the 90s, I think, and maybe even longer than that. But anyhow, he falls to Bellomo in one of Bellomo's few wins here. Salvatore Bellomo shows off the ship in the final segment of the show, and he certainly if he did build it, which I have no reason to believe he didn't. I mean, I pretty well think that the talents they mention in these segments are reasonably real. If he did it, I mean, it's a life size, it's a huge thing, or a wall size model anyway. Just really interesting to see. But really, this show is, especially this close to Mania, with Mania being 30 days out, they don't really hype the upcoming closed circuit slash pay per view and limited markets event as much as you would expect this close to it. And that kind of threw me off guard watching this particular show. Anyway, we'll be back with many more of these. We'll be back with more current day action, but I remind you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.